1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati. My name is Reverend Connie Simon, and I am glad that you are here with us this morning, either in person or virtually. We are continuing to exercise the greatest possible caution with the Delta variant of the COVID virus and having limited attendance in our sanctuary. If you'd like to attend one of our services, please send an email to member-care@firstuu.com and you'll receive instructions on how you can RSVP for an upcoming service. If this is your first time here with us, welcome. If you'd like to know more about our programs, our religious education and lifespan faith development or social justice works, or the path to membership at First Unitarian Church, please send an email to member-care@firstuu.com. We begin our service this morning, as we do every gathering when we are together, by lighting our chalice, the chosen symbol of our faith. We do so this morning in the spirit of literacy and education and celebrating reading, with this short little quote from Emily Polson. Books are keys to wisdom's treasure. Books are gates to lands of pleasure. Books are paths that upward lead. Books are friends. Come, let us read. Please join us now in singing our vision song. The words appear on the screen, and for those of you in the sanctuary, feel free to sing loud with your masks on. We are a liberal religious haven, welcoming wonder and spiritually free. We're sustained by a loving tradition, moved and inspired by the future we see, boldly seeking and working for justice, gently transforming lives through deeds great and small, young and old sharing meaning and mission. We joyfully offer our vision to all.
It is so good to be back with you today, particularly on this Sunday. I think I've shared with this congregation before that it took me a long time to learn how to read. In fact, I was about in 5th grade before I could read anything independently. But I still loved stories. That's universal, no matter if you ever learn how to read. And I'm excited today to share with you a story from my childhood, one of my favorites, that I have enjoyed sharing with my kids as they are grown up.
Chicka Chicka, Boom Boom by Bill Merton Jr. and John Archambault. Illustrated by Lois Ehlert. A told B and B told C, I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree. Whee! Said D to E, F, G. I'll beat you to the top of the coconut tree. Chicka chicka, boom boom. Will there be enough room? Here comes H up the coconut tree. And I and J and tag-along K, all on their way up the coconut tree. Chicka chicka, boom boom. Will there be enough room? Look who's coming, L-M-N-O-P. And Q-R-S and T-U-V. Still more, W and X-Y-Z. The whole alphabet up the, oh no! Chicka chicka, boom, boom! Skit, scat, scoodle doot, flip, flop, flee. Everybody's running to the coconut tree. Mamas and papas and uncles and aunts hug their little dears and dust their pants. Help us up, cry A, B, C. Next from the pile up, skinny D, and stub toe E, and patched up F. Then comes G, all out of breath. H is tangled up with I. J and K are about to cry. L is knotted like a tie. M is looped, N is stooped, O is twisted alley-oop. Skit, scat, scoodle doot, flip, flop, flee. Look who's coming! It's Black-Eyed P, Q-R-S, and Loose-Tooth T. Then U-V-W, wiggle, jiggle, free. Last to come, X-Y-Z, and the sun goes down on the coconut tree. But chicka chicka, boom boom. Look, there's a full moon. A is out of bed, and this is what he said. Dare, double dare, you can't catch me. I'll beat you to the top of the coconut tree. Chicka chicka, boom boom. I wonder, what's your favorite children's book?
Hi everyone, I'm Barbara Dickerson and here today to talk about the First Church Volunteer Tutoring Program at South Avondale Elementary School. I got involved in tutoring not long after joining First Church in 2018. At first I hesitated. I'm not a trained, certified teacher, but volunteers work from an established program to help the kids learn sounds and letters. The materials are all prepared, and with an hour or so of orientation, volunteers are ready to go. There's also a First Church team leader on site who can help you if you run into any difficulties. He or she also makes sure there's coverage on days when a volunteer is not able to attend. So this is how it works. We're there for an hour with the kids working one-on-one. We open up with the alphabet song, which is designed to help them learn how the sounds and letters match. Then we do worksheets, some coloring, and the hour ends with the kids' favorite, which is the snack, usually tied to the letter of the day. So for example, on tea day, one of the kids' favorite snacks has been tangerines. They absolutely love them. So for me, it took a couple of sessions to build a relationship with the kid I was assigned to. But as time goes on, they get a little bit less shy. They open up, start telling stories about themselves. You'll always hear about the birthday. They may tell you about their favorite toys. I've heard Santa's List a couple of years running. They may tell you a story about their family members, the pesky younger brothers and sisters, or an adult in their household who's a big favorite. One of the things I loved most about the experience, though, was watching them open up over the year. About mid-year is when it really starts to click for them and they put sounds together with letters. I remember one little girl I worked with one year who was just absolutely so enthralled with the way she was mastering the alphabet and the sounds. I would dictate words to her, even nonsense words. She would get absolutely everything. It was just an amazing process to watch, and she was such a star. So we need volunteers to work with kindergartners and first graders. This year, South Avondale has asked if we could get volunteers to work with the first graders as well. If you would like working with kids this age, this is an experience that's not to be missed. So I hope you'll consider it, and thank you for listening. Hope to see you in the classroom. Bye.
Service when we honor the joys and the sorrows that we've faced in our lives since last we were together. These joys and these sorrows are part of life. They are the ups and the downs that make life what it is. As much as we'd like to avoid one and only have the other, we know that that's not always possible. So we do our best to hold them each, to honor the sorrows, to accept that they are part of life, and at the same time to amplify the joys. And that's why we use these stones and water. Water is a healing element. It can soothe the wounded soul. It can reverberate and send waves of joy for miles and miles and miles. Each of our joys and sorrows is represented by one of these stones. Our practice here is to drop one stone in the water for a particular joy or sorrow that we are dealing with. This week, we have both joys and sorrows. We'll begin with our sorrows. This week, we laid to rest our former office administrator, Susan West. I was honored to be with her family for that service and to wish her a good journey. This is for Susan. I also had the opportunity this week to connect with Justicia Rizzo, the granddaughter of a longtime member, Pete Rizzo, who passed away. And she told me how dedicated her grandparents were to First Unitarian Church. how much this place and this community meant to them, and how she remembered as a little girl coming with her grandfather, and how he would bring 5 or 6 chess sets so that everyone in the church could be part of the chess club with him, anyone who wanted to play. She misses him greatly and asked me if I would drop a stone for him, for both of her grandparents. We also have some joy this week. It is wonderful to hear that 2 of our members who have been dealing with health concerns are doing better. Alan Atkinson continues to get stronger every day following surgery for advanced bladder cancer. We drop a stone in water for his recovery. Bev and Bill Baker report that their daughter Leslie is in rehabilitation at Drake and is doing better as well. In my hand, I hold several other stones. These stones are for those joys and those sorrows to which we can't connect a name. For those people that we know are hurting in the world, but whose names we just don't know, so we can't call them out. For those whose names are carefully guarded in our hearts, where we don't want to say it out loud for whatever reason. We also have stones here as a remembrance that good things still happen in this world. That every day babies are born, people are singing, the sky is blue somewhere, and that there is love. So we drop these stones in the water for all of those. And finally, yesterday was the anniversary of the September 11th attacks on the United States. Like many of you, I remember exactly where I was. I was working in a place where we were affected by it. And I knew that I had to do what I was supposed to do, even when I was worried about family and friends. And 20 years later, our lives are still affected by that. We talk about someday when things go back to normal from COVID. Well, we said the same thing 20 years ago. And some of the things that happened then didn't go back to normal. Some of them changed. Unfortunately, one of the things that changed is our tolerance and acceptance of Muslims and of Americans of Middle Eastern descent. The prejudice and discrimination and oppression that they face simply because of their religion or because of their last name is still oppression. It's still a form of racism. We can condemn the attacks, but we cannot condemn an entire group of people. So this morning, with that in mind, I invite us to meditate on these beautiful flowers that were presented to us today by Janet Walsh in honor or memory of her late sister Zoe and Zoe's birthday, while I share with you a meditation entitled When the Unthinkable Happened. When we heard the news, saw the wreckage, felt the paralyzing blow, our hearts broke open and spilled out into our hands. And there we were, watching our love seep between our fingers, watching our fragile love pour out all over us, watching our love seem to slip away. When the unimaginable happened, the ache that we felt as if love was being lost was the ache of love's despairing truth. This is the love that no one chooses. The loss so out of order, so profound, the love we did not ever want to know. And yet, the source of this despair, the reason our hearts cleave and flow, is because they know fullness. This is the love of truth and beauty, love that spans the web of being, uniting each of us within its timeless form. When we heard the news, our hearts broke open, spilled into our hands, and there we stared at love, lamenting, "What am I to do with this?" And with these raw and tender yearnings, we will, beat after precious beat, seek wholeness once again. It will take time to find our balance, to grieve, if we will make room. Remember, friends, this is the right thing, this ache within our deepest beings. Know that all these things are normal to feel disrupted, empty, or undone. Our hearts broke open, and the love that is still true draws us once again together, story by story, step by step, into places of tender knowing, remembering to restore us, mend us, piece by broken piece. This is the love that runs between us, sustaining force of restoration, the love that nourishes and feeds us, binds us each to our collective core. We grieve and march and weep and sing, and through the pain, but not despite it, love will repair us, not the same, but stronger in some places, honoring memories like treasures, living out our lives' potential in the shadow of the trespass, in the warmth of one another, in the light of what restored we will become. Ann Barker. Please join me now in a moment of silent meditation, reflection, and prayer, after which we will sing together, Spirit of Life.
I think the tutoring program at South Avondale School is an investment in our future. Children are our future, and they don't all have the same educational opportunities. If kids get stuck in early grades, it can follow them throughout the rest of their academic life, limiting their success in school and ultimately in employment opportunities and quality of life. Our tutoring program is intended to help kindergartners and some first graders this year to get past early hurdles in learning to read, making them confident readers as they grow. We work with them one letter at a time to learn the letter sound and then learn to blend the sounds together to form words. This focus is on a critical period in a student's development that can make a life-changing impact. In previous years, we've included a snack with each tutoring session. Each week's snack begins with the letter the students are working on that week, like bananas for week B, peppers for week P, even ugly fruit for week U. This is a way we can have a fun reward for the kids' hard work and sneak in some nutritional information. I've been amazed at how most of the kids are willing to try new foods, and I hope that post-COVID we're able to get back to having snacks together. There's nothing like seeing the excitement on a child's face when they start to put sounds together to form words and realize they are starting to read. It's something I will never get tired of seeing, and hope that First Church will always, in some way, continue to support.
About our Love My Books program, which grew from our tutoring program at South Avondale School. About 5 or 6 years ago, we asked the church members and friends to look through the books that they have at home, maybe in their attic, their basement, children's bedrooms, and bring these books in to donate to South Avondale. We got a boatload of books. And then we divided the books according to interests, fiction, famous people, arts, crafts, sports, cooking, etc. We divided them also by age. We found we had a lot of books for preschool and kindergarten children and fewer older children books. We also had more books that may appeal to girls as compared to the boys. And we didn't get a whole lot of books with people, either old or young, people of color. So the children would come to look at these array of books with their teacher and spend about 10 minutes, and they were able to choose 3 books to take home that would be their very own books. Our members were there to help the children find a particular author or a topic if that was possible. Now we believe that, or we understand that, with the Share the Plate portion, part of the Share the Plate, for South Avondale School, we may be able to purchase some books that we can add to the mix, books with stories or pictures that reflect the children who are choosing the books. That's our goal, that's our plan. Thank you for helping us reach our goal of making Love Our Books even more special.
Good morning. My name is Patricia Rohr, and I'm the current South Avondale Elementary Coordinator for First Church, a position that I took over from Lee Ramstad, who'd been running the program for many, many years and left some big shoes to fill. So thank you so much for Lee for everything that you have done for the program. And I hope I can do half the job you did. As the coordinator, we also work with the school to make sure that the timing and the coordination is done well with the school, that it works in their schedule. And for that, we have one special contact person at the school. Her name is Ingrid Sandage, and she has a short message for our church.
Good morning, First Church. My name is Ingrid Sandage, Resource Coordinator at the South Avondale Elementary School. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know how awesome you all are. If it were not for you, our kindergarten and some of our first grade students would not have the skills that they have. In the 13 years that I have been at South Avondale, you all have been a beacon in this building. And for that, we want to say thank you. I just want to take a moment to encourage you to continue the great work that you are doing for the students of South Avondale. You are growing our students, you are encouraging our students, and for that, we are forever grateful. So thank you. Thank you for all that you do, not only for our tutors, but for our Love My Books family. You all are continuously putting literacy before our students, and that is amazing. So thank you. Have an amazing day, and we look forward to seeing you in the building soon. Bye-bye.
Each month, we designate our Sunday plate collection to benefit a special cause or a local service organization. This month, our beneficiary is South Avondale Elementary. For many years, our church has provided 2 programs at South Avondale Elementary School to help increase literacy, our tutoring program and the I Love My Books program. When I got involved in the tutoring program, I wasn't sure what to expect. I just knew that all the volunteers who worked on it loved it, and it didn't take me long to figure out why. The hour that I tutored each week flew by while I got to know my student better. I was so proud to see the progress in their reading and writing, and always happy to hear their stories and learn about their favorite animals. Attending the kindergarten graduation at the end of the school year was always a bittersweet moment. I would miss my students, but I knew they were in good hands, and hopefully I had given them my love of reading. Through our tutoring program, we assist kindergartners with reading and writing. The tutors receive training before they start and follow an established curriculum. The donated funds help pay for that curriculum and all the tutoring materials in the program, as well as small incentives and reading-related gifts for the students. The second program, the I Love My Books bookstore, provides an opportunity for students to choose their own books to take home. It is sometimes hard for students of color to find books that feature people who look like them. That's why we use the money you donate to purchase books with more diverse characters and storylines. We hope that will encourage students to read more. If you would like to get involved in either program, please contact me at patricia@theroars.org. Even though we have an amazing group of volunteers who I can't thank enough, we can always use more help. One more thing I would like to mention before we go to the offering is the collection of hygiene products we did for the school this year. Usually, our church helps students at South Avondale Elementary with school supplies, such as backpacks, pencils, notebooks, etc. But this year, we were asked to provide hygiene items instead. I drove around this past week to pick up supplies from church members who graciously donated things such as toothpaste, toothbrushes, deodorant, and even some really cute face masks. I dropped them off on Friday, and they were really gratefully received. If you had collected items and I missed picking them up at your house, please feel free to let me know, and we can arrange a time to pick them up. To get back to this month's Share the Plate, your donation in the month of September, like I said, will help support the work at South Avondale Elementary. Giving to First Church is easy. You just text GIVE to 513-717-7373. If you're a member, you can also go to Breeze and click the Give Now button, or you can give online at www.firstuu.com. You can also mail a check to 536 Linton Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45219, and write South Avondale Elementary in the memo line. The offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you.
Hilda Town, Unitarian. Our reflection this morning is about literacy and the power of reading. We chose this topic, reading is fundamental, because yes, it's catchy, and many of us remember the little commercials for Rift that, maybe I'm dating myself, but seem to be on all the time on Saturday mornings. Well, in truth, reading is fundamental. The ability to read unlocks doors, removes obstacles from our paths, expands our freedom, and gives us opportunity. In 1861, Laura Matilda Town, a young 36-year-old woman, left behind her wealthy family and her comfortable home because she'd heard her minister, Reverend William Henry Furness at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, preach about literacy, preach about educating Black people in South Carolina. So Laura joined several other Unitarians and Quakers and abolitionists from Boston and Philadelphia, some of them with the American Missionary Association, some of them with the Port Royal Relief Committee of Philadelphia, and off they sailed for Port Royal in South Carolina. In her diary, she writes about what she saw when she got there this way. Low-lying cotton fields where here and there a sentinel palmetto, roads arched by moss-clad oak boughs, stretches of unclaimed timber and undergrowth, wide sweeping marshes reflecting the moods and colors of the sky, the salt breath of the sea softened by its passage over many islands such as St. Helena. The cabins stand lonely and apart, most of them white, some painted pinks and reds. Here, a woman, a bright bandana wound turban-like about her head, looks from her door. Yonder, the patriarchal figure of a man toils over the plowed field. It is a land of great distances in a small compass of soft colors, of a people utterly dependent on the soil and the weather, primitive in their faith and in their courage, long abiding and wonderfully patient. Gratitude comes easily to their lips. Thankfulness for what they have received still seems the keynote of their lives. Laura Matilda Town would open what became known as the Penn School, named after William Penn. In this space, she and others taught many Black Americans to read, because she knew that their ability to survive in this new world, what was a new world to them after emancipation, was going to be dependent on their ability to read, to write, and to understand the environment around them. What is interesting to me is that she gave up everything for someone else, for other people. How many of us today would see a need such as this and say, I'll give up my wealthy lifestyle, I'll give up my existence, I'll give up my mansion to go help those in need? It was quite an amazing thing for a 36-year-old woman to do in 1861. But that's what she did. And she was successful, she was loved. She actually remained there for the rest of her life. She stayed, as Nan White writes, through droughts, diseases, hurricanes, and plagues. She was a woman of strength, perseverance, and deep faith in her fellow human beings and in her faith as a Unitarian. Her calling to care for the freed slaves she did magnificently through her medical training, her teaching, her advocacy, and her belief in the anti-slavery movement. Having lived among and with the people on the island for so many years, she gave her life to them because of her conviction of liberty. The last words of her diary from 1884 describe a time when she was waiting at the train station for her partner Ellen to come and pick her up after she'd returned from a visit home to visit her family in Philadelphia. While sitting at the train station, she wrote these words: "The North Penn conductor, that old plague, came and talked to me a long time at Yamasee. He says the Reading has brought the new town and is going to make a connection between Fern Rock and Beth Ayres, which will cut off 9 miles of the distance to New York. He said the whole race of niggers ought to be swept away. And I told him my business was with that race and that they would never be swept away. So he was disgusted and went away, leaving me to read in peace." I don't like that word. I've had that word hurled at me many times, and it stings, and it's painful. But I think you needed to hear it to understand the depth of this woman's commitment. She died in 1901. Observers say it must have been a picturesque sight when, on the morning after her death, a procession of several hundred men, women, and children took up their march for the ferry before the simple mule cart bearing the body. Even at the ferry, the people could not give the precious burden up to the strangers. As the boat pushed off from the island, the beautiful voices which their beloved teacher had helped to train broke forth into some of the melodies she had loved to hear them sing. We believe if the whole story, the whole true story of her life were told, of her sacrifice of home with all its pleasures, of her sacrifice of her fortune, of the sweet companionship of friends, and of her constant devotion to her work, to the carrying out of this great undertaking, that she would be acknowledged the most heroic, earnest, and faithful friend the colored race has ever known. And so today, when we would think that our problems with literacy have been solved, that everyone has equal opportunity and access to learning to read, to that fundamental skill of reading, we find that the opposite is true. Here in South Avondale's area, in the area of the school, many students stayed home during COVID and lost what skills they'd gained in reading, either because they lacked the books or because their parents lacked the ability to help them, or perhaps because their parents were not present. For whatever reason, many of them began to fall behind. And this is at a time when so many are already behind. Already behind. You see, literacy is not just about opportunity and getting a job and doing all those things, but literacy goes hand in hand with economic ability. Illiteracy promotes poverty. And there are 6 important reasons why we should promote literacy. One, the ability to read and write improves physical health. Studies have shown that those who are able to read are more likely to look at nutritional information, to be able to understand it, to know how to access it. They're more likely to get vaccines. They're more likely to lead healthy lives simply because they can read. It also promotes gender equality. For many, many years, those who identified as female didn't get the same education. It wasn't important for you to learn. What do you need to read for? You're going to have babies and cook. Well, promoting literacy among females promotes gender equality. It levels the playing field and allows women to pursue the same opportunities as those who identify as men. Literacy improves our economy and creates jobs. This one should be obvious why. Those who can read have more employment opportunities. You can find the employment opportunities. You can fill out the application because you can read. It seems so simple, and yet it's a very complex problem that costs money. Sometimes we have to put things in money terms for folks to get how much they matter. $1.5 trillion a year is what is spent as a result of people not being able to read globally. $1.5 trillion. When people can read, it stimulates the economy, it creates more jobs and more economic growth. If we want to be that vulgar and measure it in terms of money, having people be able to read makes more money. It also promotes lifelong learning and builds skills. Those who read are more likely to become lifelong learners. They don't just stop with, now I can read Goodnight Moon. They read something else and something else. They learn something else. Their curiosity has been burst open. They become lifelong students. And with that comes skills. When you can read manuals and read about other types of things you can learn, when you can take classes, you have more opportunity, more chances for advancement in a successful life. Promoting literacy also promotes democracy and peace. Those who can read are more likely to be an informed electorate. Those who can read are more likely to study the issues, to know what's going on, to not be shut out, to be able to see, for example, right now, what some of our state legislatures are doing in curtailing voting rights. If you can't read, you may not even know what's going on. If you have the ability to read, you can see things and say, this isn't right, and fight to make change. And finally, reading builds self-esteem. I spent some time doing tutoring when I lived in Boston, and some of the people that I tutored were twice my age, 3 times my age. And I remember one gentleman who was the same age as my grandmother, I guess back then, who was so proud that he was able to read a sentence at the end of our time together, that he could start reading books. because he said to me, I'm a grown man. I've worked hard all my life, and yet I can't read. Help me. Teach me. I want my grandchildren to know that I learned this. So our question then for today is, what will we do to promote literacy? We've been doing amazing things at South Avondale Elementary. One school of many. Our school in our home neighborhood. Our volunteers have put in countless hours tutoring and collecting books and working with students. Students who so appreciate it. Students whose smiles can brighten a room. We will continue to do that work. It's kind of sad that from 1861 till 2021, we're still doing it. But that's our Unitarian heritage. That's the spirit of our faith. That we are all connected. That we should all have opportunity in this world. If you are able to support our work at South Avondale Elementary School, please do so with a contribution of your time, your talents, or your treasures, or even just a word of support or encouragement for the students or for our volunteers. Do what you can. If it's not with South Avondale, contribute to some other organization that moves your heart. Our goal must be to end illiteracy. It must be. It must be to end poverty. Because only then will we truly be living our faith and promoting that beloved community that we so desperately seek. May it be so.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world,
Big hand for the First Church House Band. I told Park I might not let him stay in college. We might be bringing him back home to play again. Let us now extinguish our chalice by reading together the words that appear on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. As we return to our world of service, I hope that you all will remember that we are our siblings' keepers. Do what we can this week to help those in need. Remember the many people whose lives were lost, changed, or affected by 9/11, and those whose lives have been lost, changed, and affected by COVID-19. And remember that above all, there is love. Go in peace. I have some announcements to share with you. The first is that our Reconnect program begins today. You can do this in person or online. In person starts today. This is Reconnect with community, with yourself, and with love. This will be led by our own Meredith Plummer. Come as you are. Childcare is available. And for more information, check the newsletter, or you can always send an email to member-care@FirstUU or at the tiny URL on the screen. You may have noticed that there's some stuff happening outside today. The Lady Joya Band will be playing outside in the parking lot. If you'd like to hear some live music, hang around. This is a concert that arose as part of our Heart and Hand auction. Everyone is welcome to attend. The congregational meeting will be held on Sunday, September 26th. That is 2 weeks from today. It will happen on Zoom. The virtual doors will open at 11:15 a.m. You must be registered online via Breeze if you want to vote. You must register online through Breeze if you want to vote. The link to register is in the newsletter, and Martha Walker, the board secretary, will be sending something to the larger congregation. If you have questions, you can always send an email to administrator@firstuu.com. Please register only one time. Once registration closes, we will send the documents to everyone for the meeting. Thank you.